a lot of times I talk to people and they're always yearning for fresh content. Like, oh, what's a show I can watch that's not like anything else, not just a rehash. Only Murders in the Building. I didn't find it until recently. It's over on Hulu. Um, it's Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez are really sort of the stars of it. And it's created partially by Steve Martin and John Hoffman. But it's truly one of the most original shows I've seen in a long time. It's comedy. It's based on these three trying to solve a murder that happened in their building. They live in this high-rise apartment building in New York. And throughout, it's kind of interesting. Somebody I was talking to is like, well, there's a lot of people in that building that are all into each other's business. I've lived in houses, I've lived in apartments, I've lived in high rise. I got to tell you, in a high rise, everybody's up in everybody's business far more than even in an apartment complex or a neighborhood. There are some really nosy neighbors in those places. And for what it is just a much different vibe than anywhere else I've ever lived. So that part of the show is very, very accurate in a lot of ways. But one of the things I find highly entertaining about it is that the show itself is so original in nature. It doesn't really kind of look like anything else that's out there. And the whole point to it is, these three are not only trying to solve a mystery, but they're making a podcast about it. So it's unique in the fact that it kind of pokes fun at everything that's going on in the world today. It's like, yes, people are all up in each other's business. We all think we know more than the police do because the police had closed the case, right? It happened in their building. So, of course, what's the answer? You make a podcast. Why not do a podcast about something you're working on, right? Everybody else is, so why not have one? And it's actually inside it. There's actually in season two, there's a podcast competing with a podcast. And humorously, I found out that the show actually has a podcast, an official podcast about the show about a podcast. So you can actually listen to the podcast that goes with the show about creating a podcast, which is kind of cute. Um, but what you'll find in the show is actually very original stuff. It's not like anything I've ever come across. And it's a murder mystery, so I don't really want to give anything away. And there's three seasons of it. They just finished filming season four, which is coming out soon, but it's over on Hulu. And what you'll find is a cast that gels well together. It does take two episodes, three episodes in the first season to really kind of make sense of what's going on. And I think the reason it takes those three episodes is not because it's badly written, it's just because it is very original. So when you come across something original, when you come across something rehashed, it takes you like 5 minutes in to go, oh yeah, I know what's going on. Not like this. This is new. So it will take a couple episodes to enjoy, to really kind of get going, at least to really understand what's going on. But it is worth the wait. Nathan Lane plays a character unlike anything I've ever seen Nathan Lane play. The man has a lot of range, and when you've got Steve Martin and Martin Short, who have been around Hollywood just forever, and done some fantastic work over the years, you do wind up with this sort of star-studded cast of every season. I mean, season three even has Paul Rudd. You've got people who are enormously busy with other stuff. But because they get a call from this guy or this guy, of course they're going to come over and do what they can to be on the show, right? I mean, Meryl Streep's even in this thing. So it is a show that I thoroughly have enjoyed all three seasons of. I actually watched it a second time with my daughter, and she thought it was funny. Selena Gomez plays the straight man for the comedy team. These two will say things, and she's just sort of the straight person punchline for it, which she's fantastically good at. And the chemistry between those three is phenomenal. You wouldn't think that the age difference might play against them, but no, it actually works. It works really well the way it's put together. And I've read online that Steve Martin, who you can't see behind my head, was deeply involved in the creation of this whole thing and in the production of it. So, when you got somebody with that many years experience and that much depth of talent in it, who's really actively involved, you're going to wind up with a quality product. So if you haven't given it a chance and you're looking for something original, this is kind of cool. It's certainly not something that's for everyone, but I've really enjoyed it. And it's outside of my normal genre. I usually am a sci-fi or fantasy adventure geek. I occasionally like action thrillers, but I write those, so I kind of usually see through the action thriller stuff pretty fast. But this is totally unique. I think you'll enjoy it. So give it a shot. I've enjoyed it. I'm not going to give away any spoilers here, but I will say that Nathan Lane gives one of the best performances I've ever seen Nathan Lane give. Martin Short, hilarious as always. Selena Gomez, I barely knew who she was before this. My daughter was like, Dad, how do you not know who she is? I was like, okay, I just didn't. Fantastic talent. This woman has years ahead of her. I think she's going to go great, great, great places. She's already been a lot of places, but I think she's going to go further. And of course, Steve Martin. I mean, come on, everything from planes, trains, and automobiles to Ruprecht. Love the show. Love the people in it. Check it out. Enjoy it. Click like, subscribe, follow wherever you see me. And we'll see you on the next video.